Tonight, police target motorcyclists this Road Safety Week.
The airport evacuated after a security breach.
Mangoes ripen for a bumper season.
And thousands celebrate Cairns Festival's Grand Parade.
This is 7 News with Brough and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Police have issued a desperate plea to motorists to take care behind the wheel this Road Safety Week. 51 motorcyclists have died on Queensland roads this year, and more than 1,000 were injured.
Almost 200 people have lost their lives on Queensland roads this year, more than a quarter of them on two wheels.
Motorcyclists on the roads represent 27% of the deaths that happen across Queensland, and locally we've lost 3 people.
Motorcyclists on their own are very vulnerable, and we've got to take extra care to look out for our motorcyclists as much as they have to look out for their own safety as well.
There have been 16 road deaths across the Mackay-Whitsunday district since January.
At present we're at 5 more deaths than we were at the same time last year. So that's why we really want motorists to take care on the roads.
The Far North District recorded 18, 7 more than last year.
We can't go and test somebody for fatigue. People need to take responsibility for their own actions and also keep tabs on the drivers if they're a passenger.
Operation Rest Stop Rewards will be rolled out this week to help reduce the number of fatalities on our roads and reward motorists who are doing the right thing.
Motorists within Mackay that get a roadside breath test done by police will also receive a free coffee card from Stella Rossa.
Having young kids on the road or teenagers on the road like I do myself, the safer we can keep them, I'm happy to support that.
Savannah Burke, 7 News.
Flights to and from Cairns Airport have resumed following a security breach at the domestic terminal just after midday. Thousands of people were evacuated and flights were delayed after a passenger went into the departures lounge without undergoing required screening.
The airport had to be evacuated and screened again.
Great fun. The beer's in there, I'm out here.
Cairns Airport says it was standard procedure and there was no immediate risk to customers.
Farmers are predicting a good mango crop despite the recent rainy weather. Queensland growers are expecting to grow more than 1 million of the juicy favourites this season.
The trees are flowering and by October these tiny green mango buds will be ready to eat.
At the moment it looks like it'll be a reasonable crop, but it's just still too early to tell.
Bowen farmer Duncan Wills has planted more than 18,000 mango trees.
It's a good indication in a way for crop size, but we also had a large amount of rain during flowering, which can damage a lot of flowers.
And his crop contribute largely to Queensland's production of the popular tropical fruit.
We're sending about 1.5 million trays from the Bowen Burdekin regions.
Growing the perfect mango takes time and the right weather conditions.
Not a lot of rain. Warming up will bring them on quicker. If we get rain, it'll bring more disease. You'll probably get some more fruit will come off.
We had a pretty cold few weeks, like most of the state. But that's a great thing for mango trees because it stresses them out a little bit and it just encourages a lot of flower.
And it's easy to spot whether or not it's ripe.
If it ain't round, it ain't ready.
The season officially kicks off late October and continues until February. Georgie May Walker, 7 News.
A major Far North thoroughfare was closed for hours over the weekend after a large tanker veered off the road and into a ditch. Emergency services were called to the Captain Cook Highway near Oak Beach following reports a Morano's fuel truck carrying 2 diesel tanks crashed at around 11:30 yesterday morning. Both lanes of traffic were blocked for at least 4 hours while crews cleaned up the large diesel spill. There were no injuries.
The federal government has committed nearly $200 million to improve water quality on our Great Barrier Reef. The funding will be used to reduce the nitrogen pollution from sediments and fertiliser, efforts which have so far fallen short.
A big but vital boost to Australia's World Heritage Site.
We're also announcing another $192 million for a Cleaner Water for the Reef initiative.
The federal government outlined its commitment to improve the water quality flow into the reef at Friday's Bush Summit.
This will mean that we can revegetate mangroves, wetlands, grasslands and stop sediment running onto the reef.
The Marine Conservation Society says it's a timely announcement off the back of this year's cyclones and mass bleaching.
It's great to see that we're tackling those local threats, and that's something that's actually in Australia's hands.
The investment will reduce nitrogen pollution, mainly from farming and tree clearing.
Nutrients are coming from the overuse of fertilizers on land, and also the overuse of pesticides.
And focus on restoring wetlands.
Wetlands are natural water filters, so they can really help us improve the quality of water before it reaches the ocean.
But there are calls for the federal government to commit to stronger emission targets, with climate change still the biggest threat to the reef.
We need more national and global action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Shana Macbeth, 7 News.
The state opposition has pledged to simplify the process for small and family businesses to tender for government work. Shadow Business Minister Brent Mickelberg was in Cairns with candidates today, selling the LNP's plan to rejuvenate small businesses.
Businesses need is a seat at the table. They need government to get out of the road and allow them to trade and to flourish. And right now businesses feel like they're being choked with red tape.
The plan includes 5 business day terms for payments, smaller tenders and simplified contracts.
Perfect weather and enthusiastic crowds made for an epic start to the week-long Cairns Festival over the weekend. It's the 63rd year of the event, which celebrates all things arts, culture and community.
As the sky darkened over Cairns, the Esplanade came to life in a burst of colour and culture. 25,000 people lined the street to watch the Cairns Festival's grand parade.
Absolutely brilliant.
So it has been lots and lots of fun.
There were more than 60 floats, including community groups, businesses, sporting clubs and schools.
It's the 63rd year of Cairns Festival, and last year we had around 166,000. So this year, of 10 days of festival, we're hoping to crack the 170.
This year's light and laser displays proving to be a dazzling hit for festival goers young and old.
We've got a really fabulous new water show, as well as a bunch of exciting new immersive installations throughout the park.
While centre stage kept the music pumping and crowds jumping.
Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like I've got ants in my pants. The energy is just so high, the vibe is so good.
The festivities continue until Sunday. Frank Russo, 7 News.
It looks like everyone's enjoying themselves. Well, ahead tonight, why a woman changed her career after being diagnosed with cancer.
And dozens raised dust and dollars for the Endeavour Foundation.
Thanks for joining us here on 7. A convoy of cars have hit the road, raising dust and dollars for the Endeavour Foundation to help people with a disability. About 70 teams, including 2 groups from Cairns, left Roma on Friday and will travel more than 4,000 kilometres over the next 7 days. The Endeavour Rally aims to raise $750,000. The convoy is expected to arrive in Longreach this Sunday.
You have a safe trip and raise plenty of money, won't you? Now, a woman who was diagnosed with cancer during the pandemic and underwent treatment in hospital has found inspiration from those who cared for her. Billy Colbrand has decided to become a nurse, taking advantage of the state government's free TAFE initiative.
Heading back to the classroom was never part of Billy Colbrand's plan until her life took an unexpected turn.
I started into nursing after I was diagnosed with cancer about 3 years ago now.
Billy had to undergo chemotherapy in hospital as the global pandemic took hold, but she quickly found solace in her oncology nurses.
The nurses in that industry became my lifeline.
It was enough to inspire her to follow in their footsteps. She's now at TAFE studying to become a nurse.
My hope is to be that support person on the other side for somebody else in a very vulnerable situation.
And she's not alone. Hundreds of other Queenslanders are making the most of the state government's free TAFE courses.
There is no better time than right now to get into a good job and to get into a good course to skill up and train up, thanks to our free TAFE.
There's more than 300 nursing students in Townsville, the Wide Bay and Sunshine Coast, and around 200 in other regional areas.
There's so many different courses and they're in all the areas that really need people at the moment. So if you can get on board with something that's, you know, free and provided by the government.
Rebecca Jensen, 7 News.
University researchers are calling for an amendment of Australia's land clearing legalisation after a recent study found laws failed to stop high rates of bulldozing. There are fears threatened species will soon become extinct if habitats are not protected.
3 years ago, Australia pledged to halt and reverse forest loss by 2030.
That's because deforestation has a lot of flow-on impacts. So it releases carbon into the atmosphere, it removes habitat for threatened species.
But a recent study by the University of Queensland has found the current laws are not stopping high rates of tree clearing.
78% of clearing didn't have any evidence of a referral to the EPBC Act.
They analysed 1.5 million hectares of land clearing across the country and found only 19% was approved by law.
Now, what we noticed is that a lot of clearing in this case was exempt. So it was happening under a lot of different exemptions.
80% of clearing in the past decade has occurred in Queensland, sparking fears enough is not being done to protect our native species.
Populations have been declining for a long time. There's a lot of things that we could do, easy changes that we could make with these policies to help that.
Savannah Burke, 7 News.
All right, time now to have a look at what's happening in sport.
The boys are on a bit of a roll at the moment, Nathan. Finals time of the Q Cup.
What a roll it is, Brough. Our minor premiers, the Northern Pride, will take a 12-game winning streak into their Saturday semi at home against the Sunshine Coast. We'll have more on that next. And the Cowboys' life member leaving the club after 12 years in the blue and grey.
Stream 7 News anywhere, anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.
And welcome back. Well, he's been a Cowboy for over a decade, but Premiership winner Kyle Feldt has announced that this year will be his last at the club. He could still leave with another title, though. North Queensland are confirmed to play finals footy, and this Thursday night take on the minor premiers.
King Kyle has called time on his Cowboys career.
It wasn't an easy decision, but I think it's the right decision to finally move on and, I guess, see what else is out there for me.
As for where that will be, that's still to be confirmed. But the North's favourite finisher is far from finished.
There is obviously a lot of offers out there, but yeah, like I said, I still got to finalise and pick out what's right for my family.
12 seasons, 213 games, 146 tries and a premiership. There are few players with a highlight reel like his. The born and bred Townsville winger was inducted as the 13th life member of the club this year, the same season he claimed the Cowboys' try-scoring record.
There's still a couple more games left. I can add to it a bit more and yeah, so it's something that I never really thought about, and looking back at it now, it's quite a little accolade to have against my name.
But it's this big moment that will be remembered most by fans and friends alike. Feldt's famous 2015 grand final try that helped the Cowboys claim their maiden premiership.
Don't have a premiership really without him. Obviously, Morg's done the work before it, but he had to put the ball down.
Thursday night's home game against the Melbourne Storm will be dedicated to farewelling Feldt and fellow life member Jake Granville. If that's not enough, it will be Valentine Holmes' 200th NRL game.
Obviously a massive achievement just to play, the one game, and then you get to 50 and then 100 and now 200. Obviously I'm pretty excited.
And it could be his last at home as a Cowboy with the centre off to the Dragons next year.
It is what it is now, and I just want to play my best footy now for the club and try and finish on a high and see how far we can go.
Emma Halliday, 7 News.
And for the first time in history, the Cowboys' NRLW side have claimed back-to-back wins. They'll now chase 3 straight when they face the Broncos on Sunday. North Queensland's 28-18 win over Canberra was also their 3rd of the season, already exceeding their amount of victories in 2023's inaugural year. Fullback Fran Goldthorpe ended up missing the clash along with S.A. Barnu, but the 10-point victory has the Cowboys 7th with the 2nd-place Brisbane now in their sights.
Desmond Peters goes
We've come in leaps and bounds to where we were at the beginning of the season, so yeah, it'd be nice to obviously continue that trend.
But they could be without China Palata for Sunday's showdown. The second rower was charged with dangerous contact and faces a one-match ban, or can just pay a $400 fine with an early guilty plea. The Northern Pride will go into the Q Cup finals riding a wave of 12 consecutive wins after coming from behind to beat Burleigh by 10 in the last round of the regular season. Sets the stage for a qualifying final against the Sunshine Coast this Saturday at Barlow Park.
With Jake Clifford in the NRL, the pressure was on Dontre Louis to step up, and it didn't take long with the half scoring the Pride's first try of the game. But the Bears, playing for a home semi-final, would take an 8-point lead into half-time.
They probably got us at the start of the game, to be quite fair. A little bit more physical than us, a little bit more energy than us, and probably deserved to be in front at half-time.
Louis made it a double straight after the break, opening the floodgates for the Pride, with the ladder leaders scoring 5 tries in 25 minutes. The Bears scored the last 2 tries of the game, but couldn't get back the lead. The Pride finishing on top, 34-24.
It was a good, tough semi-final feel about it, where sometimes in those big games, your game plans and things like that sometimes go out the window, and you just need to find a way to win.
The Pride finished the regular season an incredible 4 games clear on top of the ladder, and will play the 4th place Falcons in the qualifying final after the Sunshine Coast side upset the North Devils in their final game.
It's just stringing together 80 minutes. We're good in patches, but if we click for 80 minutes, we can beat any team in this comp.
We'll start training tonight with some certain things we want to do this weekend for sure. We've already started our Falcons prep. We only played them a couple of weeks ago, so it's still really fresh in our mind.
James Ingram, 7 News.
And a crowd of over 4,000 was on hand at Cannon Park on Saturday to witness Mahogany take home the Cairns Cup. The 6-year-old, trained by Lindsay Goff, went in as one of the favourites and came hard down the outside on the straight. Here are the final stages.
But it's still in front of Mahogany. Mahogany's going to beat Magic Conqueror. Cash and Check's third.
And in the very next race, a great ride from jockey Georgina Cartwright saw Pipistrel get home in the Guineas.
It's Vienna waits for you now. The favourite Pipistrel's coming. Vienna waits for you. Pipistrel too good in the Guineas. Pipistrel makes it a double for Cartwright. Beats Vienna waits for you.
And racing returns to Cannon Park for the Cairns Amateurs on September 13. I'm sure it will be just as big as the Cairns Cup, and that's it for sport tonight. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nate.
All right, we'll stay with us after the break. Livio joins us with all the weather details.
Good evening, Livio Regano with tonight's weather. It's quite unusual to start the day with fog in late August, as many places did this morning around the state. It's even more unusual for the temperature to climb so high so soon after the fog burns off. Rather spring-like temperatures today across the region, with Cairns reaching 29 degrees and Mareeba 27, a taste of what's to come in the months ahead. To the satellite loop now. Well, to be expected, there's not a great deal of cloud around. I say that a lot. I guess Queensland is a pretty sunny place all round. A little bit of cloud just around the Northern Territory border, and there's an arc of frontal cloud or trough-related cloud just here in the southeast corner, which could bring a storm tomorrow to some of those areas, mostly inland. Today's chart, what you see here is a baby high sitting just around about Gari or a little bit further north, and in its vicinity the winds have been very light, hence the occurrence of fog again this morning. And that's the inland trough I was talking about. Ahead of it, the winds are coming mostly from the northwest. That's why it's been so warm. On tomorrow's chart, the trough clears the coast, but there's no cool change behind it as normal. All there is just this waffly high pressure ridge maintaining the light winds, maybe drop a temperature a degree or two. And now the latest from BOM. The boating forecast for Cairns waters: southeast winds 15 to 20 knots tomorrow, same again on Wednesday on Thursday, with seas to 1.5 metres. Tides are nice and simple, low in the morning, high in the afternoon, and minimal ocean movement from bottom to top, thanks to yesterday's last quarter moon. North tropical coast and tablelands, showers mainly about the coast, some inland. Cairns 20 to 28 degrees, Atherton 23, Innisfail 27, Mareeba 26. Looking ahead for Cairns, steady temperatures for the period, a little above average, but not by that much. The sunshine will make up for it though, with only light passing showers to take the sting out of the warmth. For Atherton, we may get a couple of showers penetrating that far inland. They're most likely Tuesday to Thursday. After that, looks basically dry. This week's question, can it hail at night? The short answer is yes, but hardly ever. Hail-producing storms rely on the heat of the day to generate powerful rising air currents that can lift moisture up to 60,000 feet. At these altitudes, frozen raindrops are kept in suspension long enough to grow into big chunks of ice. By late afternoon, there's not normally enough heat to sustain these funnels of rising air, so the ice chunks fall to the ground like a sack of potatoes, and the show's all over by sundown. Thanks, Elijah, for the question. Have a nice evening, everyone. And now it's back to the team.
You're wonderful, Liv. Good on you, mate. That wraps it up. Thanks very much for your company, and we'll catch you tomorrow night.
And also a reminder, you can watch a replay of our news on 7plus, or you can download the 7 News app. And from all of us here, enjoy your evening. Good night.
Good night.